Good evening, I'm Brian Reagan. This is
Tyler Kelly.
And we welcome you to our Twilight Talks on the Psalms. And tonight we're in Psalm 82, the entire psalm, Tyler.
God stands in the congregation of the mighty. He judges among the gods. How long will you judge unjustly and show partiality to the wicked? Selah. Defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy. Deliver the poor and needy. Free them from the hand of the wicked. They do not know, nor do they understand. They walk about in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are unstable. I said, you are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. But you shall die like men, and fall like one of the princes. Arise, O God, judge the earth, for you shall inherit all nations.
All right. So, Psalm 82 is an interesting psalm. You all right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it gives us a glimpse into how things functioned before the cross with the various fallen angels, this one I wish we could take an hour on this psalm, but Tyler's told me we can't do that. So there is a point, and you catch a glimpse of this in the first two chapters of Job, where God still calls the fallen angels back in front of him, along with the righteous angels, into a conference or a divine council. And when it's talking about the gods, you have to keep in mind that all of these, quote, false gods, they aren't false gods the way that people think about it. They're false gods in that they don't have the full right of deity to be worshipped. They're false in that sense. But in comparison to men, they were like gods, especially after the fall. But when you think about Adam and Eve, and Psalm 82 and verse 6, do you know what verse Psalm 82:6 corresponds to in the New Testament, Tyler? See if it gives you the footnote reference in your center column there.
John 10:34.
John 10:34. Remember, the Jews got mad because Jesus, I'm the Son of God, and Jesus says, hey, if the scripture says ye are gods, and the scripture cannot be broken, well, this is what he's quoting. Because mankind was originally designed to function with divine prerogative and with divine capability. Whoa, brother, you can't say that. Sure I can. Because why? Well, Jesus quoted this and made that point. The text here quotes that, says that. And it's going all the way back to Genesis, because when man was created, you could honestly say, what was not in subjection to man on the earth? Tyler? What did God withhold from man's subjection of things on the earth?
The tree of knowledge of good and evil.
No. He denied them the right to partake.
Right.
But as far as being in subjection and them having dominion, what did he deny them? Nothing. He gave them a command to dress and keep the garden.
Mm-hmm.
Did they have rosebush clippers?
Not that I know of.
Hedge clippers, pole saws? No. So, by what means do you think they exercised dominion? How did God create the world, Tyler?
To work with them and to do what they wanted it to do.
No, I mean, how did he create?
By speaking it.
Yeah, his word. He spoke it, and it was. If it's never occurred to you, the serpent coming up and having a conversation with Eve, you know why it was natural? Because if Adam and Eve were like, because you have this ridiculous idea that you picked up from religious tradition. Many of you do. That the whole earth was perfect. No, the whole earth was sinless. The whole earth was this jungle that was filled with life. And in that, go back and read Genesis 1-3. In that, God planted a garden eastward in the territory of Eden. So God made the world, and then after he was done, you could almost say it this way, he took a portion of paradise, or he took a portion of the garden of God, and he planted it eastward in Eden, and that was where he placed the man and the woman. Because when God came in the afternoon to be in fellowship with him, he came to the Garden of Eden. But he tells man to dress and keep it. He tells mankind to fill and to populate the earth. But if everything's perfect, what work are they supposed to do? But if only the garden is perfect, and the garden serves as a template for what they're supposed to do with the rest of the planet. Because you know what happens to people when they don't have work that actually gives them a sense of purpose, where they can see that their work is actually achieving something beneficial? Do you know what usually happens to people, Tyler?
They get lazy.
They get lazy, and along with that comes things like depression and. I used to do frame carpentry. I hated frame carpentry. Because every job you got to, you had a slab, and when you left, all you had was the stick frame with the boards, with the wafer board or the plywood, depending upon how much money the person wanted to spend for their subfloors and for their roofing. And then you left. So you never saw a finished product. I hated frame carpentry because of that. He said, no, that's why I went back to putting in floors. Because you can walk into a house and you can go, man, this carpet from 1972 looks horrible. And when I was installing carpet in the 90s, people had carpet from the 1970s.
So shag carpeting?
Yes, in colors that don't even exist. There's no way to classify those colors. Right? And you'd go in and you'd rip it out and you'd tear out the pad if it hadn't already disintegrated, that you could just go in and basically vacuum it up. And when you were done at the end of the day, whether it was tile or wood or carpet, again, didn't matter. You saw that something had changed and it looked better than it did before. Man's purpose was to make the Garden of Eden over the face of the whole planet. And that was why they were to propagate and. But when they needed a tree knocked down, they could say, excuse me, George the elephant, could you come over here and knock this tree down? I command you, sir. Oh, yes, of course, Mr. Adam. I'll do that. Because you have dominion over everything. But then a being came in, and the being's name was? Satan. Adam didn't have dominion over Satan. Actually, he did. Satan could not operate in the earth because God had given dominion to the man. Satan had a realm of dominion in the heavenlies till he rebelled, and then God kicked him out, put him out of his home. Now they're here in the rest of the created universe. But all that authority has now been given to man, and man's been given the power of word. And Satan can't operate unless the man. And he said, well, he got the serpent to work with him. Sure he did. You do know animals have choice, right? If you don't believe that, Tyler, have you learned that with your dog?
Yes.
Yeah. My dog Bondetta, you only knew her the last couple years of her life.
Mm-hmm.
True or false? With a sigh, she could tell you, yeah. And he said, no, there were times I'd just pick her up and move her. Because she's like, no, I'm not moving today. And someone, man, you ain't gonna whip a 14-year-old dog. Just pick her up and move her. Because why? Animals have choice. Contrary to people who, animals don't have the ability for anything other than blind reasoning of force stimuli response mechanism. Whatever. And remember, what was it that Satan told Eve? God knows that in the day you eat thereof, you shall what?
Know the difference.
You shall know good and difference, and you shall be
Like God.
like God, or you shall be gods. Satan sold them the same lie that he sold a rest of the third of the heavenly host. And Eve and Adam, instead of Adam speaking the word against Satan, they decided to sacrifice all of the divine nature that was already present in them to be gods, not stopping to consider that they were more like God before they took and ate of that fruit than anyone ever would be from then on until Jesus came, and more than any of the angels could ever possibly conceive of. So this verse, ye are gods. When we're born again, we become partakers of the divine nature. The scope of what this means and the fact that Jesus quotes it in the New Testament is why you and I need to quit saying, well, we're just human. Well, human beings were endowed with a character that God said to them, ye are gods. But if Satan gets you and I to believe that we're not much more than just space dust and life has no purpose, oh wait, the world looks like it does once he gets that into people's minds. You have some other thoughts on this one?
No, sir.
All right. With that, I'm Brian Reagan. This is
Tyler Kelly.
We bid you good night.